Welcome to this Let's Play for Cities Skylines. Now, I've got the game on pause for a specific reason, which I will talk about in a minute. Now, in this part, what I want to do is unlock the courthouse, which requires me to get the crime rate over 50%. Now, this is one of the more awkward, unique buildings to unlock, and it's certainly one you need to do with a small city. And another thing I will say, guys, as Risto Salmon pointed out, this is definitely the type of unique building where you've got to drop a save before you start, because it's very easy to push your luck too far or get the size wrong and cause the city to implode. And what I will say is that if your city's got really big, I mean, my city's already getting a little bit too big for this, is that it can be very difficult to get the crime rate up to 50% if you get a city more than what it is now. And that can then give you quite a major headache. So effectively what you'd have to do then is create another Let's Play or another city, build it up to quite small, get the crime rate up to 50%, and then basically ditch the city and go back to your original city. Now, the other building that I will be wanting to unlock is the oppression office, but I need to get to level 4 for that. So in this part, we're going to have the contradiction of effectively trying to get the crime rate up, but at the same time trying to build the population up to the next level, which is 5,000. I'm pretty sure it's 5,000. Yeah, busy town. So we need to be getting to busy town, where you can see there, so we can unlock level 4 unique buildings. But once you've unlocked the courthouse and the oppression office, there's only two really annoying distinct buildings left, and that is the observatory and the cathedral. I can show you the cathedral here, where you've got to have 2 abandoned buildings. The observatory is 1,000 abandoned buildings. The cathedral is 2,000 abandoned buildings. Now, the reason I'm including these is that you don't really need to damage the city extensively if you've got the disasters options on, because what you can actually do is trigger a major disaster event and then not tidy it up very quickly. And what happens is you can end up with a large amount of abandoned buildings. If that's the introduction, now why have I got the game paused? And the reason is, if I show you here, is that you can see where the flow in the river is so weak. If I show you here, you can see the flow in the river here is virtually non-existent. And what's happening is that this water intake is actually reversing the flow and drawing, there you can see there, just see the arrows, see them? And is effectively drawing the foul water back towards this pump here, and it's already getting very close. And what's most likely going to happen if I don't do something very quickly, what will happen is that that's exactly what I did in the previous video, but people will start getting sick. So I need to fix this quite quickly, and kind of thinking I need to move this out for as far away as possible, which means I need to buy another tile. I mean, I could go this way and dump the water there, but we're already polluting this water, so I think we'll purchase that. I've got to be a bit careful with the money here. And what we're going to do is, now this river isn't very deep either, so there's a good chance what's going to happen is that it's going to flood. I've got to try and save a bit of money, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to dump into about here. I don't need to. What we can do is you up and bring you over, and that's the first thing I want to do. Now, I've still got a risk here with this, so what I'm going to do is something I should have did in the beginning. I mean, we got the money for this. Is we drop. Actually, let's put the water pipe in first. Now we're going to be building here. So if I take this up about here, this will make sense eventually, guys. Don't worry about it. I'll just hook that there. And what I'm going to do is put 1, 2, 3 water towers there. And then we're going to turn this one off. And of course what we're going to need to do is put a power line in across here. That. And of course what we're going to need to do is switch that one on, and then we're going to switch, well, we're going to unpause the game now and we'll be okay. And just want to check yeah, the water demand is good because I've put the extra water tower in. So that's now running really nicely, and what we can do is switch this one off. And well, I mean, let's just get rid of it and move it over here so that it can dump into this eventually. And we'll just hook it up just in case I want to suddenly decide to switch it on and I don't realise I haven't connected the pipe up. And you can see straight away where the water's starting to flood, and that's going to flow down into there. This will clean the river up. Now, the reason I wanted to turn this off is that the backflow is still running. If I show you here, you can see how this backflow is still moving up towards the pump. And it's going to take, because this flow is so weak, it's going to take a little while to push that water away. It's all fun. It's all great fun. I'm actually really starting to enjoy this map, actually, to be honest, guys. I'm just going to put some more residential here. And as I previously said in the intro, what I'm going to be doing now is a bit of a contradiction, because to speed this up, it's going to be quite a long video. In the sense that what I'm going to be doing is building the population, which is then going to slow up the rate of my crime. As I increase the population, if I increase the population too quickly, that will reduce the crime rate. And then by reducing the crime rate, what will happen is that it's just going to take longer to do that unlock. I'm just going to get rid of that, smidge that building out there. Kind of, I think we're going to put here. Now, I'll give you guys a bit of an advanced heads up. When I do the suppression office, which will be the next video, I will be reshaping this side of the map quite considerably because of the way that you've actually got to do the unemployment. It looks like we've managed to avoid the population getting sick, which is good. And I'm kind of a bit inclined now to expand this area over here. I'm still a bit worried about the demand for industry. I mean, we got the capacity up here. We can just drop this across the top here. I mean, I will be turning this into farmland eventually, but first I'm going to have to move these buildings over. And well, I suppose I could come this way. This is starting to rise, so that there could be a bit of a terrain issue here. Actually, I want to come this way. Let's change the direction of the roads as well. I mean, there's one thing I love about some of these maps is that, I mean, you can get really big cities on flat maps, but I think it's real fun to actually build cities like this, where you've actually got a variable terrain. It just makes the cities more interesting. You know, flat maps are great, but nah. Sometimes it's just the fun of having to put this in. Whoops. Right, we've got a power issue here, but we can feed the power into there. Whoops, no. Actually, this get you hook in that. Let's get this area starting to build up. You can see here. Now, it's quite weird, really, seeing that this pumping station's turned off, but the flow of the river has actually stopped. This is one of the problems when you've got shallow rivers with weak flow in them. I mean, it's probably the fact that this is actually damming the river, but I don't really want to move. I mean, I could move it away in the maybe we'll move it up here for the moment, because I mean whoops, that connects through, because truthfully the water intake there was having a negative effect anyway, so let me just let that river fill back up again. We're up to 4,400. Work on that. Oops, that's pretty awful. Right, let's just take that off. It's a pretty badly laid out road. Yeah, we've got the same problem on this side, so take that off. That can hook in there like that. Actually, that's wrong, isn't it? My fail there, guys. Sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. That was actually right. I'm just going to hook that through. Going to that, and of course take that away as well, so that this actually looks okay. And that can come through like that. That can come through like that. And I'm just going to hook the road through here. Now, one thing I will have to accept is that when the time comes to get this city really up and running, I'm going to have to do quite a lot of work to patch the damage that I'm currently doing. But then that's part of the fun of playing Cities Skylines, that you can actually build things up and get things to work. Let's just have a check at the crime rate. Yeah, see, we're at 44% at the moment. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky, because if the city's still growing, what can actually happen, and this is particularly true for a really large city, is that you stall about between 45 and 50%, and then what actually happens is that everything just stands still. You can see how much crime there is, and because this area is growing, in fact, I think I need to just try and make the city stagnate for the moment. So we're just going to do that, and we're just going to let the city run. I'm just going to keep it running for the moment. I mean, it's all a bit of a mess. If you're going to do something like this to a city, always make sure you drop a save, because if it all goes wrong, it means you can always fall back on the save, especially once you've actually unlocked the building. So I mean, I could just sit here and just let this run to destruction. So we've just crept over 50%, which is good. And I just want to make sure that, yeah, so always drop a save so that you can actually do something. Yeah, so we've now got to maintain this for 5 weeks. This is where things get a bit icky and dangerous. We've got a power shortage. Oh, wow. Okay, no. Right, let's get more. I'm half inclined to actually drop them 3 lots like that. Yeah, I'm half inclined to maybe put a power station in, to be honest. So saving before you do an exercise like this is very important. I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that it's not. But at the same time, if it all goes wrong and it all fails and crashes, so what? I mean, as I say, as long as you got the unlock, that is really good, because then that's the unlock done for good. I mean, as I said before, I just want to check this. This is at 51%. Crime rate's high. What is the crime rate at the moment? Yeah, you can see we only got to 56%, and that's with massive demand in the whole city starting to work. I mean, let's just keep an eye on the courthouse. Yes, we've got another 3 weeks to go. We could do a bit more planning, I suppose. When I've got this area out here, which I put in, so what we can do is just come out about there, like that. I mean, I've got to be a bit careful with the cash. I think we can come down to 40, push out that this way, maybe another lot of 440. I think these can come out full depth actually. Yeah, I'm not going to put a junction through here, so we can expand this. And the reason I'm pushing this out this way is eventually, if you can just see under the grass here, see the farmland? So what I want to do eventually is this commercial area here, this residential area, probably down, well, it's getting a bit thin there, is we'll probably come back to this junction here. So everything above this will be converted to industry, but it will be actually farmland industry. In fact, what I'll just probably the easiest way to show it to you. If I start here, and then paint down here. See, I'm already messing the city up anyway. So what we're going to do is paint this in, and this eventually will become farmland. Actually, what I could do is, since I'm really messing up this city left, right, and centre at the moment, I should have done this. And this is where I want to make the primary residential area. So we're going to just fill this in. This is going to be Concord Heights. Just bring that around there. And I think we'll make this into self-sufficient buildings. I mean, that's going to affect, I'm already getting a few abandoned buildings as well, which is going to help. Just have a quick check. Yep, now I've got the unlock. And then we're just going to switch on the police station, and we got a bit of cash, so we're going to have to put on in another police station. If we put one about here, because of course what I'm going to need to do now is repair the city, get it back healthy. Actually, a lot of people have actually left this area. What I'm actually going to do is de-zone this area and a little bit. Actually, no, I'm going to leave. Actually, I'm going to put it back in again, guys, for a specific reason. All ready for the next part. And then what I need to do now is get everything fixed, get everyone back healthy, get the city growing again. You can see that the demand for residential and commercial has dropped. We can now let this fill in. I'm kind of inclined. We got a little bit of cash. I have to admit, I'm not used to having to work with such small amounts of cash. Because normally by now, if I was building a normal city, well, a city where I was going for population, I would normally have the cash situation well under control now, and everything would be going really well. Actually, I think we can bring that way. We bring this out here. Let's just expand this residential area, and I think we can sneak that through. And of course, when you've got hillsides like this, it can be sometimes a little bit tricky to lay out things. I'm kind of feeling that I need a footpath. I'm just going to cross the river, and it's going to, whoops, I'm just going to get a footpath across there. And the other thing I want to do, I just want to check the policies. No, we still haven't got city planning unlocked. I wonder what. You see, one of the good things about is once you've got the police stations in, the crime rate does drop very quickly. You can see I've got the crime rate back to 4%. Now, if you were doing this in a really large city, you wouldn't be able to do that. What would actually happen is that, let me just nick out some of these more abandoned buildings. It would take a lot longer than that, and in fact, there's a very good chance if you've got a city over, say, 15 or 20,000, the whole city could implode. And one of the big problems when you do these types of destructive operations to unlock unique buildings is that when you've got a very large city, you've got a very expensive infrastructure with lots of buildings that have got to be paid for. So what actually happens, what actually tends to destroy you, isn't so much the people leaving, it's the cost that you can't get the population back big enough to compensate for the lack of cost. You know, all the costs of running all the buildings. I can run that there. Kind of a bit inclined to be a bit sneaky here. The land width is a little bit wide here. Actually, let's see if we can narrow up the river a little bit. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, guys. I'm not really an expert on this. And we put something along like this and like that, and maybe we'll just put a little bit along the edge like that. just to harden up that area of the river. And we'll probably come up here, but it means I'd have to destroy the footbridge. Maybe I'll have to destroy the footbridge. Now the reason I'm doing that for the moment is I put in residential along there. That's exactly what I'm after. In case any of you guys didn't see it, it's there. I've now got some power takes going across there, which will strengthen the city up. In fact, I think I will do that. I mean, it's going to mean that I'm going to have to knock my footbridge down. Oops, I don't want that. I want to... I'm not sure. That won't go under that bridge. Never mind. So we're just going to just build that through like that. And it means we can create some riverside properties through here. And what that might do is actually strengthen the flow of the river a little bit. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, we've reached Busy Town. We've now reached the level 4 unique buildings, and more importantly, if I remember correctly, is this wander down? Oh, nope. So we haven't quite yet got to unlocking the high densities. Just want to check here. Ban bikes on. That's the one I'm looking for. Is encourage biking. We've got to the point where I want to do things, so we're just going to come in here. Now, this is one of the most powerful policies that you can actually implement. More importantly, it doesn't cost you anything. But if you actually encourage biking for the whole city, what that will do is effectively get people to use bikes to travel across various positions. And I think what we're going to do is just take out that. I'm actually starting to like the... Oh, great. Just that way. Oh, that's because I was building on water. So let's just... I mean, I could put actually electric dam up here, but I think that's about as far north as we're going to go. With a little bit of land texture there, but I think that would be okay. And what we're going to do is... Great. That's annoying. I think the problem is over here. Let's just take this off. We're okay for... I think if we drop that more along the edge there, and that can come out like that. That's still a little bit high, but we may be able to get over it. Yeah. That gives us a river over the canal. And I'd like to do here, I'm just going to pause. If I get this done before I actually, before this gets too busy, we should be able to get away with it. If we can get this right out in the river like this. Get this out. We won't actually affect the buildings too much. Now, one thing you've got to be a bit careful if you're doing this is that you don't constrict the river too much. If you constrict the river too much, you can actually cause a flood, which can be fun. Maybe we can just get that there. I mean, it's going to look a bit... Oops. It's actually picking up the terrain. See where it's adjusting in height? The reason for that is that it's actually... It's picking up the terrain height from the... where the base is, but I think we can hook that up. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, let's just take that out. I mean, I don't mind slopes, but there's slopes and there's slopes. Okay, we're just gonna have to that out. There's like a kink slope there. And that's gonna... No, that's no good. The joys of building in Cities Skylines. Maybe if we come this way. If we drop that there. And that drops into there. Then we can reverse this like that. It's going to unlock that. Oops, we got... Oh, I've got a sewage treatment problem because, of course, the water is now... Because I put... This is one of the things you need to be aware of if you're using towers. That it's 2 towers to every pump. So what's actually happened is that the water here is... the sewage treatment now is pushed out, but the water availability is. So what we're going to need to do is keep an eye on that, because what will happen is as the city grows, the water availability will become higher. And of course we've now unlocked level 4 here. If I can find, and oh, there's the observatory with the 1,000 abandoned buildings, and what we need to do is find the office. There we are. There's the oppression office. That's the unique building we are going to be working on in the next part, where we're going to cause massive unemployment. But what I do need to do is just try and build the city up and strengthen it a little bit. And let's just get rid of these power lines here. Let's check the power grid system. Actually, let's just... Education. Education's not brilliant, but if I put... We put a elementary school there, and say a high school out here. We're gonna have to work on public transport as well. We don't have a high school over there. Maybe I don't need a high school over there just at the moment. And what we should be able to do now is hook the power to there to there. That will allow me to take out these power cables here like that. And then what we can do is hook in a nice big... Don't really like this whole distance here with roads. What we're going to do is we're going to drop down like that, and then what we're going to do is build through here. And once I've unlocked the oppression office, one thing I am going to need to get into here really quickly is some public transport. Try and get the city to work and flow. I'm just going to... Because one of the problems with working on a regular terrain like this is the fact everything's fragmented. But oops, right, we've got water problems. I think we're going to... I got... No, I don't have the pretty on. Actually, we can bring this over here. And one of my private objectives for this Let's Play, and if you guys have followed any of my series, you'll be aware that in the past I've been a little bit obsessive about getting my water supply laid out in a gridded form. In this Let's Play, what I want to do is be a little bit more relaxed about that. Right, we've got power issues again. What's going on here? Yep. I'm going to have to bite the bullet, guys, if I got the money. Oil powered 120. How much is that? That's 50,000. I mean, we got anything that's clean? There we are. Geothermal plant. It'd be really nice to... I mean, if I... As wool geothermal. I'm just going to pause while we look here. It doesn't... It says noise pollution. It doesn't produce ordinary pollution. what I'm thinking is, rather than put it into the city here, we've already got an area up here that we're using. We've got a little bit of depression over here, so if I kind of sneak the road through here like that, and then what we can do is put the geothermal plant slope too steep, and we can whack the geothermal plant in up here. I mean, it probably end up complaining about not having water, but we can fix that. This water grid is going to drive me insane. Yeah, I don't. Oops, there. That's it. We've got the power back on. Yeah, what we can do is drop the budget a little bit, save some cash. And we'll keep you at 900%, just over. Yeah, I don't think the wind turbines are just going to hack it for the city, but we can have a nice power centre here, tucked up in the hills behind here. I mean, that would work really good. Maybe we could have a solar power area here, and then we can curve the city round over here, and you can see all the horrible water that we're dumping in. You can also see the flooding. This is a reason why we're probably going to need to put the water outfalls eventually right over there. But of course, we will move to clean water treatment eventually. And we've got industry. 29,000. I just want to have a quick look. And I mean, I could come this way or cross the road. We've got a bit of farmland there, a bit of farmland there. We've got a little bit of farmland off there. I think what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to unlock this tile. And then what we will do is actually cross over into this area for some of our more heavier industry. But that would be in the long term. I think for the moment, until I've got everything sorted out, I just want to put that there like that. And I'm just going to shove that there. And you down there like that. Yeah, what we will be doing is this will become farmland, and then this will become my industrial complex, just to get the city up and running and driving. In fact, I think what we'll do is I'm just going to drop that through there. Now eventually I will probably extend this road through into this area, but for the moment we're just now I know some of you guys are going to cringe a little bit, but what we're going to do is dezone these two areas here so that we can start to move the residents out of this area, and we're going to move them over to this side of the map. And of course we can give these people a nice riverside view. I think that's working quite well, having that area there. I just want to check the flow. See, the flow's not brilliant, but you can see the flow's a little bit stronger where I've narrowed the river down a little bit. So that will work there. But we're never going to be really able to take a large amount of water out of this, because as you can see, one pump was already drying it up. So this is going to be an aesthetic flow. I mean, I'm not even too sure whether you could actually get a ferry in there, but not that we're going to worry about that. I'm going to shove in a little bit here. And let's get this area up and running quite nicely. And let's check the fire coverage. The fire coverage is a bit icky, and of course there's no water coverage. 440. I'm just going to shove you across like that. Now I'm not going to take the residential any closer to the highway here. Oops. Because obviously there's going to be a noise value. Eventually we will put sound barriers on here, and what we'll most likely do is put offices along here. And I just feel the need to put is to let's just try and increase the land value a bit. Maybe just up here. And of course, we don't neglect your commercial areas or even industrial areas if you want to increase land value. Yeah, I think that can wait for the moment. In fact, what we're going to do is just put that across like that. And then, oops. Oh, people will grow out to that. It's not going to be a problem. I think that's going to be it for this video, guys, because all I wanted really to do was the courthouse. I was half hoping to be able to do the oppression office, but we will do that in the next part. But I really need to get the city a little bit stronger, a bit more economically sound before we do move in and unlock this here. Wherever it is, I can't even remember where it is. Yeah, the oppression office. We'll do that. At the moment, we've got 4% unemployment. But that's going to be for the next video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.